Restoring Men in History. Immigration. Some people here have come to make a better life. They come one, two at a time, a family, and they want to make their life better and the life of their children better. However, take a look at this. This is not one or two people. This is a caravan that's obviously funded, and it's part of the plan to destroy the United States. And why should you be concerned about that? Because it will ruin your freedom. Okay, it will overwhelm the system. We cannot do it. Why? Milton Friedman said it earlier. I remember seeing this video, and it's in this article as well. This man must have seen it. But I remember I said this a lot in LA and in the Orange County group. You can have open borders, gentlemen. You just can't have entitlements and open borders. So pick one, right? So that's Milton Friedman's point, not mine. And the point is, right now we have open borders in America with entitlements, which will destroy America because you can't handle it and will ruin the middle class and ruin you and ruin your what? Take away your freedom because you don't have any money. The United States will be overwhelmed. And people know that. They wrote books on how to do it. So it is a plan. And this caravan coming down is part of the plan to destroy the United States, it seems. It seems well-funded. That's what people say. So there's a few people that come here, some people come here to make their life better. This doesn't look like that, right? This looks like a plan to destroy the United States. All right. Victor Davis Hanson said this, yet the truth is that formal borders do not create difference, they reflect it, right? Elites' continued attempts to erase borders are both futile and destructive. See, that seems like the elite's intention. Use these big caravans, and you've seen them, crossing over massive amounts of people, especially military-aged men and others, which you've seen the pictures. I've seen the pictures. That's a way to destroy the United States. Why? Because of freedom. Because we have a constitution, and we're standing in the globalist way. And we're standing in their plan's way because we are America. We are Americans. We like freedom. And how do you keep? Some people are coming here for the right reasons and good reasons, and they want to make their life better. How do you keep that? You make sure you preserve American principles, the reasons some of them are coming. Right now in this caravan, you've probably got how many, who knows? We don't know how many criminals. There's been a report, they've found so many criminals already coming in. So one way to maintain freedom is to have borders, and we're on the freedom side. To maintain American principles so that people that want to make a better life, that come here for the right reasons, can come in through the system legally, not illegally. And certainly not in these mass caravans. You certainly can't bring in a caravan and then throw them into a Marxist indoctrination center, meaning school or university, where they teach them to hate American founders and American principles and think your country is going to be the same. It will transform America. So going back to women having babies and then shut the borders down, and we can preserve the culture. So instead of assimilating, we're giving them bad indoctrination to hate the founding fathers, and we're giving them a dose of Marxism, class envy, race hatred, division. So division and hatred, and what? That globalist elite technocratic power gets even more power, right? So there's some things that we've talked about through the groups. Brian C. John Depth writes this, no border, say goodbye to America, American thinker. Listen, we're going to talk about this. If you like our mission, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Also, if you want to discuss these issues fully, go to our website, restoringmeninhistory.com, and get in a group or see if we can start one in your area where we have these discussions and camaraderie, and we smoke some cigars too. All right, going back, there's the piece. So it opens with that Friedman line. We've already gone through it. And he's talking about a transfer state. So he said he went over to the Heritage Foundation and he found this paper, the government taxing the upper and middle classes, transferring money, and you see a lot of this, to lower economic classes via subsidies and benefits. And they do it in another way with Wall Street welfare and corporations, right? But that's separate. Let's stick with this. In other words, the transfer state, they love redistribution, right? They love taking your money and giving it to someone else. The transfer state redistributes funds from those with high skill and high income levels to those with lower skill. Heritage makes the assumption, quote, it takes the entire net tax payments, taxes paid, minus benefits received of one college-educated family to pay for the net benefits received by one low-skill immigrant family. By the way, robots are coming too, so what are we doing? Well, if it's part of the plan to destroy America, they're doing exactly what they want to do, the uniparty. Republicans right along with it. This is not a issue for just Democrats. The Republicans have not stopped it. Which is why a welfare state in an open borders country will eventually reach a tipping point. And that's what Saul Alinsky, Cloward Piven, they wrote about this. We've talked it in the groups, right? We talked about it. You want to reach a tipping point to what? Overwhelm the system. And you also want to destroy the middle class. So there's a lot in here. And you want division, right? You want people hating each other. So Alinsky, Cloward and Piven. There are factions who want to destroy the United States or transform it, either way you want to say it. And they want to get us to the tipping point. Look at what they've done on the debt and deficit, the uniparty. Look at the funding for Ukraine, the uniparty. The uniparty, Republicans, Democrats, they both spend a lot of money. They both are funding Ukraine. They both have a lot of neocons that want to go to war everywhere and feed the military-industrial complex. And yet, while they talk about Ukraine's border, we got to protect Ukraine's border. They don't do anything about the southern border, right? Should make you upset. Always be peaceful. All right. Always be talking to people. Always be informing. What can we do? What can you do from your home? Everywhere you go, cigar bar here and there. Tell people the facts in this. You've got an election year coming up, 2024. How many of these facts can you relay to people, and how many people can you get to? Do you track it? Do you have a measurement of how many people you're going to talk to this week, next week, this month? Because if you're in another thing, you're going to have metrics, right? If you're trying to drive a business, we're going to have metrics, right? So how many people can you talk to and share this and pass this information to? Can you get in one of our groups so that you see us once a month? Again, that's restoringmenandhistory.com. As reported by Fox News' Griff Jenkins, encounters with illegal immigrants at the southern border have topped. Now get this, ladies and gentlemen. This should alarm you. No more complacency. Over 300,000 in December. Think about that. 300,000 new people. That would overwhelm most American cities and towns. You would see the change in traffic and congestion and crime and everything. And you don't know who this 300,000 are. Nobody knows who this is. Could be 10,000 criminals, could be 20,000. Remember Kate Steinle? What if they kill one person? What if one criminal immigrant? What if one illegal immigrant who's been a criminal in Mexico or some other country comes in and kills one person, your daughter or your son? That's enough. That's enough. Because it can be stopped. This isn't a natural emergency. It's something our politicians, the Uniparty, could stop if they chose to, but they don't want to. Now let's think about that. That's 3.6 million per year. And he goes on to say that's more than the population of every U.S. city except Los Angeles and New York. By the way, I've lived in Los Angeles. You don't want to live there. Like a third world country. Homeless everywhere. Crime. Just a dreadful city. The traffic is ridiculous. Not an attractive city to live in. And they don't punish criminals. You can steal and get away. Again, that's a breakdown of the rule of law. That's not an American principle. That's not why people would come to the United States. Some of them that want a better life. Some of them that came out of tyranny. Not everyone. Every U.S. city, that's the way you change a country you love, that we love. That's the way you take away freedom. That's the way you make people more unsafe. You don't know who's coming into your neighborhood, your city. It means your children are more unsafe. So instead of providing security, the government is actually undoing your security. We need secure borders for your protection. Also for the protection of your culture. But Congress has done nothing to stop it. So this is the real crisis. They want to send money to Ukraine, but not protect our border and protect you. Seems like they don't care about the country, our country, right? They care more about Ukraine than us and you. How many migrants are not encountered? Those are called gotaways, and Border Patrol estimates 1,000 per day or 365,000 per year. Think about that. So gotaways are 1,000 per day. Think about that coming into your small town. Say you have a town of 10,000 people, what 1,000 people would do. Or 365,000 per day. Think about living in all those border towns in Texas and Arizona. And you can't sleep safely at night. And you got to watch out for your daughter and your dog. Make sure they don't kill your dog. Make sure you don't kill your daughter. Make sure you don't rape your wife. Because you do have some criminals coming over. One is enough. DHS Secretary acknowledges 600,000 illegal gotaways crossed the border in 2023, and he calls the immigration system broken. Fix it then. You guys, you in a party don't want to fix it, but you should fix it. You took an oath. You took an oath. Follow it. Follow the oath. And you people out there, demand that they follow their oath. These are estimates, but the real number is unknowable. Of course, we don't know. Let's say 1 million getaways a year, making that 4.6 million migrants a year, illegal immigrants. More than the population of LA added to America each and every day. Think about that. Reflect upon that. What do you think about that? What do you think about adding 4.6 million illegal immigrants a year? He goes on, let's go back to the piece. As most migrants are unskilled, unable to speak English, many illiterate and unemployment. As most migrants are unskilled, unable to speak English, many illiterate and unemployable, they are by necessity supported by whom? You, the American taxpayer, right? So you may be struggling at home because of the inflation caused by all the spending by the uniparty. And you, the American taxpayer, has to pay for their food, shelter, education, travel. Have you seen the videos of them going up, putting them in the schools in New York? I mean, this is insane unless it's a plan to destroy the United States, right? It's either a plan and wicked or crazy.
Out of New York City, students are being forced to learn online as nearly 2,000 migrants move into their school.
It's a plan, right? This is a plan. They're flying them in. They're moving them around the country. They're putting them where they want. And think about the election problems and how it denigrates your citizenship. This denigrates your citizenship. Okay? We have debt and deficits, and we're bringing in people and putting them on the system that we don't have any money. Increasing the cost of your goods, creating more inflation, lowering your standard of living, and you should care. And you should be upset. Really, you should be upset, not complacent. Always in a peaceful way. Always be peaceful. So if you want to destroy the middle class, this is one way to do it, right? And don't worry, their multi level approach is working in many areas. What does it cost? Okay, guess what the cost is? Can you guess out there? New York City daily per person cost. What do you think to house migrants? What do you think the cost is? It climbs to nearly $400 per day. What about healthcare? California, crazy California, or California as we used to call it out there, California, plans to provide free health care. Who does that harm? You. To all illegal migrants. Let's call them illegal immigrants. At an annual cost of about $4,000 for each adult. It's going to cost you, ladies and gentlemen. The system cannot handle it, and you know that's their plan to overwhelm the system. Judicial Watch said this, quote, the net cost of illegal immigration is greater than the annual, get this, gross domestic product, GDP of 15 different states. Let me say that again. Judicial Watch, net cost of illegal immigration is greater than the annual gross domestic product of 15 different states. That's overwhelming the system. Who does that also weaken? Your state. Okay? Now, we have a system called federalism. This is how they attack the Constitution and federalism, by destroying the state and the power of the state. Then you got to go run for the government and get more help, right? Doing it through money. And this is serious. It's severe. Clearly, he goes on to say, we know this. It's not sustainable, right? U.S. national debt, we talk about this in the groups and everywhere, $34 trillion. And that is wicked. The fact that we got to $34 trillion and you put some of these guys and girls back up in Congress, why? They're at $34 trillion. They have failed you. They may have seceded for themselves or driven their plans, but they have failed you, the American taxpayer. They have failed you, the American patriot. They have failed you, the American. They have failed their country. 34 trillion. Think about that. It's just thrown out like it's normal. Not 34 billion. Think how upset Sam Adams, Patrick Henry would be. Complacency. We have to get out of complacency and take peaceful action with ideas to win back the country. Restore the Constitution, restore history. That's why we do the groups, right? We want to restore the Constitution, restore history, restore men. With the current interest rate on the debt at about 3%, interest on the debt is, get this, how much you think? More than $1 trillion per year. Again, we just spent again with the new speaker. They just keep spending the uniparty. I think he spent over 1.5 trillion or made a deal to do it. What does that do to your grocery price, your butter, your bread, your eggs? Interest alone consumes about a quarter of the 4.4 trillion. Again, we're talking in trillions. How did it get so out of control? Well, we're not going in that. Annual federal receipts, more than defense spending. We will be borrowing money to pay the interest on previously borrowed money. Get that. We will be borrowing money to pay the interest on previously borrowed money. And these guys have not even upset by it. Congress just moves along and keeps spending. Economist Herbert Stein observed, if something cannot go on forever, it will stop. What are your state legislatures doing? It has to be handled in the states and can be handled. So demand that your states handle it peacefully. Get your states involved. Get involved in local elections and do it at the local and state level. Demand they follow the state constitution and demand they protect you from illegal immigration and its cost. Do it locally. Get involved locally. Run for office. Support your friends. Run them. And start pushing back from the local level and in those positions, sheriff position, the local positions. In hyperpartisan Washington, D.C., this is one of the few examples where Republicans and Democrats actually agree. Well, they do agree on Ukraine, right? Too. And they agree on going to war a lot, right? So they agree on debt and deficits, right? I mean, both parties like to go to war. They have a lot in common. It's the uniparty, right? Democrats want new voters. Well, they say that. Remember the clip just came up? I don't know if I'm going to pull it, but I just saw it the other day of that lady saying it'll help me get more votes in my district to move illegals in.
Santa Ana could become the latest city in the country to allow non-citizens to vote at the ballot box.
Intro 1867A is hereby adopted. Congratulations, Councilmember Rodriguez.
With the majority in favor, New York City Council makes history. The Our City, Our Vote bill now heads to the mayor's desk. It will give some 800,000 non-citizens the right to vote in local elections.
Big decision last night in College Park as the city council voted on whether non-citizens, including those who are living in this country illegally but live in that town, should have the right to vote.
WSN Evan Kozlov joins us this morning. And after a lot of debate, Evan, ultimately the city council extended the right to vote to non-citizens.
Democrats want new voters. Their policy and leaders are not so popular these days. Some 63% of likely U.S. voters think the U.S. is heading in the wrong direction, according to Rasmussen Post. Only 24% of voters strongly approve of the job President Biden is doing. Creating a new dependency class of tens of millions of potential voters serves what? Democratic electoral interest. Republicans, he says, don't mind ceding power to Democrats as long as their wallets are thick with cash. Remember, it's not the Freedom Party, it's the Republican Party. It's not the Constitution Party, it's the Republican Party, the Uniparty. The big government, by the way, the big government Republican Party. So you got two parties that believe in big government. Open borders provide cheap labor for the Chamber of Commerce Republican establishment. GOP lawmakers are rewarded with generous campaign contributions. All right, we know this. And financial perks in exchange for looking the other way from an open border. All right, U.S. Mike Johnson visited the U.S. This is what they do, right? And I love this part. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson visited the U.S.-Mexican border with a gaggle of Republicans huffing and puffing about what a catastrophe exists at the border. So what? Lots of talk, no action. Remember when Trump, one of the great moments was, you senators all talk, no action, and that's true. We have the Trump clip. Anyway.
They've been all talk and they've been no action. And now it's even worse. Now it's not even talk.
Sadly, politicians are all talk and no action.
One of my favorites that Trump said, because it's true, right? Congress just talks. And then let it go on. They don't really fix anything. They haven't fixed the stuff we were talking about in college. All right. Going back to his predecessor, Paul Ryan. Here's Dave Harrington's favorite person. I don't think so. Republicans have fought Trump on building a border wall and applied no pressure on Biden to secure the border. They don't want it. It's the uniparty. They could defund responsible agencies, including Homeland Security and Customs and Border. They could. And go further than that, I'd read a piece when Trump was in the negotiations, he wanted the wall built, that Paul Ryan, Trump said, I don't know if this is accurate, but if it's accurate what I read, Trump said, go ahead and shut it down if you have to, Paul. We got to get the wall built. And Paul Ryan didn't want to do it. Of course, that's what I read. We don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I read. All right. He goes on to say, funny, they will probably vote to reward DHS with a new building rather than holding them accountable as they did with, remember what agency? The FBI. Remember them rewarding them after they did all the mess? That's your U.S. Congress. Have faith in them. The DHS secretary, rather than securing the homeland per his job description, you can't make this up, you ready? The DHS secretary, rather than securing homeland per his job description, what is his excuse that he gives? What is the excuse he gives? Not him. He didn't make a mistake. He blames climate change rather than inaction and incompetence. This is amazing. Now they are actually, well, I think he's in on the plan, so he's not really incompetent. He is moving their plan forward, right? He's in on it. We talk about that point all the time. The next point, which is the power of the purse. Congress, this was fought over in the process when they were ratifying the Constitution, when they were writing the Constitution. When they were writing the Constitution, the power of the purse would be left with the House. Republicans never use it. If they were really upset and they would say, look, and we shouldn't give any money to Ukraine, but they would at least get a deal out of it, but they're in on it. Right? They would say, we're going to do this, but we have to have the border closed. All right? We'll give you a little bit here, but we have to have the border closed. And then the next time we got to cut the deficit. We'll cut 1% off everything. But they don't do that either. All right. Instead, a Republican speaker is advocating for solutions. Wow. We're going to all talk, no action, right? What a tough guy, he says. Financial ramifications are a fraction of the problem. What about the fact that there are millions of young, I've read this, military-aged men from all over the world, including countries not friendly, how about this, Tara, to U.S. interest, unvetted, with unknown backgrounds or intentions now in this country, right? Think about that and reflect on that. Who would want to do that? Who would gain from it? Why are they doing it? It's part of the plan. If you want to destroy a country from within, this is a great way to do it. You see the caravans. This is not just by happenstance. This is being driven by a faction that wants to undo the United States. All right, how many are, as Trump would describe, bad hombres, intent on crime or terrorism? We don't know. The number of Chinese migrants crossing America has risen dramatically. If 4 million to 5 million migrants come to America each year, and here's the question, ladies and gentlemen, what if 10% are criminals out of 4 to 5 million? It's 450,000 people that you have to deal with that could potentially hurt your daughter, hurt your son, hurt your husband, hurt your wife. And it's serious, and no one's doing anything about it. We've had decades and decades of problems with immigration. We go through that sometime. Let's go through the whole, on a video, the whole immigration process from beginning to end and how it occurred. Our enemies will not need to attack us from the outside. Their militaries may be already embedded. Is this migration or invasion? Why is it being allowed? Well, we just talked about that. Rasmussen reports on a poll on X where 93% of respondents agreed that the current situation with migrants at the border with Mexico is an invasion of the United States. Invasion of the United States, and the federal government's doing nothing. So it's up to you governors and state legislatures. 93%. That's also Republican congressmen that aren't taking care of it. So they would have the support, right? If 93% want it done. So there's another reason Republican congressmen aren't really going after this, right? All right, this guy the Great on X, Kanekoa, summed it up well. On President Biden's inaugural day, he introduced policies that incentivize illegal immigration. See Biden. Well, Biden's driving this plan, right? So it makes sense. We're going to get into that. Let's go on. Pause deportations, suspended Remain in Mexico. Remain in Mexico was effectively working, and Biden took that away. So how many Republicans even bring this up in Congress? Do you even know that Remain in Mexico was working? Pass that along. We can do something. Remain in Mexico works, and it worked well. We need to bring that policy back, and you need to tell everybody you can to bring it back. Stopped border wall construction. Well, you know the story, if that's accurate, about Paul Ryan and Trump. Trump wanted to go all the way. Trump wanted the wall. Paul Ryan didn't. And you saw the establishment fight Trump on the world. It was both parties. The Uniparty did not want the wall. They want either their cheap labor or their votes. All right, the surge in illegal immigration is a national security crisis, 100%, costing American taxpayers hundreds of billions. We got another piece we can go to that has the cost detailed out. Major U.S. cities grappling with the escalating financial burden are slashing budgets for services such as fire, police. That's ridiculous. All right. Elon Musk, do we have his clip? This was no accident, he says. At this point, there is no question that this administration, this is Elon Musk, is actively facilitating illegal immigration. Thank you, Mr. Musk. And by the way, I'm reading his book. Let's don't go there. There's more trouble besides an open border. Energy costs are up, and we're no longer energy dependent. Remember, under Trump, we had better energy policies. All right. Anyway, I'll just make a quick point. If you want to destroy a country within, take away their ability to produce energy and sustain themselves, right? We won't go into the whole thing. All right. Inflation has devastated middle-class families. That's correct. We talked about it. Homes are unaffordable now, right? So what do homes do? They give you a stake in society. You can have children. You can have children without a home. You can live in other places, but it gives you a stake, gives your children a place to play. And what? Remember the line. You will be happy and own nothing, right? This is that same faction. Personal and national debts are unsustainable. And finally, the cultural wars we've talked about this a lot, have destroyed American minds. The American Revolution started in the mind of men. But we have to restore the mind, the American mind, and freedom, and your love of freedom. Culture wars destroy us from within as well. You see all these attacks, ladies and gentlemen? All these attacks, confusing boys they can be a girl, telling them that. Imagine that. Wicked, atrocious. Telling a boy he can be a girl. He can't. The deliberate effort to destroy America has a name. It's the Cloward Piven strategy. We've talked about this in the groups, named after two communist sociology professors at Columbia University. The fourth step is, 1, overlord and break the welfare system. Check. They're doing that. 2, have chaos ensue. Look at the major cities. 3, take control in the chaos. 4, implement socialism and communism through government force. So you create the problem as government. Then you come in and say, hey, we can fix it. And then you have total control and tyranny. If you break everybody, it'll be easier, right? This is serious. Number 1 is currently ushered in. Number 3 will be determined next November. Donald Trump is the only hope. Closing our border and enforcing existing immigration law would be a good place to start. Well, yes, it would. Or he says, say goodbye. Now listen, protecting your borders and having secure borders is a way to protect your freedom and your choices. It's a way to protect your private property. And they know that. You will own nothing and be happy. It kind of undoes private property to have open borders. The globalists know that. The Marxist factions know that. We are under attack. Let's protect America, and let's protect this country we love and our culture. Principles, federalism, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, private property. Don't get complacent and accept that we need to spend trillions to keep the government open. We must restore limited government for freedom. The larger the government is, the less freedom you will have. Restore limited government and secure the border. So, what can you do? You can talk to as many people as you can and go through these facts and figures and tell them what's going on and remind them of it, because people are busy and they get busy with life and they forget about their country and politics because they're busy, right? Some of them. And then you've got people that are amusing themselves to death, wrapped up in sports and movies and all that, Golden Globes and all that stuff. So keep it on their mind. Talk to your friends in a friendly way. Ask them questions. Pass it along the information. It's what we can do. And if you want to do more than that, get in one of our men's groups. Men need camaraderie. They need to socialize, and they need to talk about ideas and discuss them. So you can reach out and get in one of our groups. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And here's to restoring America and the Republic. Thank you.